Republicans have been very kind to me from the beginning. Even from the beginning when Bobby was running as a Democrat, they weren't mean.
No.
And they never have been.
No.
And I can't say that for the Democrats.
I agree.
And it's
sad because it's not the Democrats we grew up with.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the difference that people don't, I think, see. They're like, why did you turn on the Democrats? Well, first of all, I didn't. Like I said, we voted for the same person. But I'm not going to pretend I don't notice how different they are.
Yeah.
How mean they've become.
Yeah, he listened.
I think he actually wants more people around him for a stimulating conversation.
Yeah.
I was very surprised at, and mentioned it again, they hated me for it, that as opposed to so many important people I've met who, when you talk to them, you don't feel like they're really listening. They're kind of like, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And then when they answer you, it doesn't quite track, you know?
They're just waiting for their turn to talk.
Yes.
Bill Maher and Cheryl Hines teamed up to take aim at the Democrats, and the outcome was both sharp and unexpectedly hilarious. The once loyal Democrats laid out how the party has unraveled in recent years, even as Donald Trump's popularity has climbed. They also opened up about why they've become disillusioned with a party they once saw as a beacon of hope, but now hardly recognize. Let's dive in.
Again, one good thing about Trump, he really, really does not like war.
Which I love that about him.
I kind of do, because I don't want war either, and most of them are unnecessary.
Agreed.
I mean, he took a long time when I had that dinner with him talking about the pictures he sees coming from Ukraine, the stuff that doesn't get out on the news. It's like raw footage of bodies in the field.
Yes.
And you could tell it really moved him. He's like, I do not want to see this, and I'm the kind of guy who can fix this.
It's genuinely fascinating to see Cheryl Hines and Bill Maher openly admit that there are things they actually appreciate about Donald Trump. Coming from two voices long known for their unapologetic Trump criticism, especially Maher, this shift is striking. For years, Maher monologues were a reliable source of sharp, relentless jabs at Trump and the Republican Party. But now, this more reflective version of Maher has disrupted the familiar script, attracting unexpected new supporters while alienating some of his oldest allies. Even many Democrats don't quite know what to make of it. Some think Maher has simply grown weary of the party inconsistencies. Others speculate he was softened or even charmed after that much-discussed dinner he shared with Trump. Whatever the cause, the shift is undeniable, and it's generating more conversation than anything he said during his years of predictable party-line commentary.
You know, he's never not going to be Trump. So, of course, he's like, I solved 9 wars. And, you know, okay, even if it's half that, it's still good that we're solving them and not starting them.
That's the thing that I find that I really like about President Trump when he talks about wars and talks about Ukraine. And he talks about Ukraine and Russia, and he will say they're losing people on both sides.
Donald Trump has repeatedly emphasized that he doesn't want to see the U.S. pulled into endless foreign wars, and he's framed ending the conflict in Ukraine as one of his top priorities. Whether people agree with his strategy or not, his stance is clearly influencing the conversation. He continues to insist that the war should be brought to a close, and Maher pointed out that Trump's posture stands in sharp contrast to President Biden's approach. That difference alone signals a notable shift in momentum. And regardless of how one views Trump personally, it's hard to ignore that this moment echoes goals Biden long hoped to achieve but struggled to realize while in office. While Biden pushed for diplomatic solutions that never fully came together, Trump's more unconventional pressure tactics have, at the very least, introduced a new dynamic. For Trump, this could turn into a significant political advantage, one with potentially far-reaching global implications.
What somebody was just asking me about when I met him, what surprised me the most, and I said I was surprised that he really likes to listen to people. He's very curious in what you have to say.
They hated when I said that. Again, because I'm just telling you what happened. What, should I lie?
I guess so. I guess
Right.
that's
He
what they
kicked
want.
me in the balls under the table. And then
Like I knew he would.
He threw the spaghetti against the wall when I raised the subject of tariffs. No. No.
I can already imagine plenty of Democrats bristling at Bill Maher's recent remarks about Donald Trump. For years, many expected Maher to stick to the usual party script and deliver nonstop criticism. But the moment he showed even a hint of admiration or simply acknowledged that Trump can be surprisingly personable, everything shifted. Cheryl Hines has seen that side of Trump as well, and her perspective only reinforces something many have long resisted acknowledging. Instead of returning from his meeting with Trump armed with harsher jokes and fresh outrage, Maher came back with nuance. And that alone has sparked an emotional backlash among some of his own supporters. What it really highlights is a certain mindset. Some people dislike Trump not because of personal experience, but because they've been conditioned to. Maher's honesty disrupted that script, and the reaction speaks volumes.
Yeah, he listened.
Yeah, I think he actually wants more people around him for a stimulating conversation.
Yeah.
I was very surprised at, and mentioned it again, they hated me for it, that as opposed to so many important people I've met who, when you talk to them, you don't feel like they're really listening. They're kind of like, you know what I mean? And then when they answer you, it doesn't quite track, you know?
You're just waiting for their turn to talk.
Yes.
This moment is both hilarious and eye-opening. We all know politicians walk into interviews armed with rehearsed talking points, polished one-liners, and carefully crafted narratives. It's as if they're reading from an invisible script floating just above the camera. And even when an interviewer throws them a curveball with a tough or unexpected question, most refuse to deviate. They cling to their talking points with almost robotic determination, repeating the same lines even when their answers no longer match what was asked. The result: awkward, surreal exchanges where the interviewer poses a clear, reasonable question, and the politician responds with something completely unrelated but perfectly on message. That's exactly why this particular moment stands out. It highlights how conditioned so many politicians are, and just how refreshing it is when someone finally breaks free of the script.
Or they're just on this different level. I mean, these are show people too. I've had that. But I didn't get that with him at all.
No.
I got a guy who looked in my eye, was listening to what I said, waited until I finished, even when it was contradictory, when it was he never got blustery or mad about it. You know, he said some things that I don't agree with and some things that I think are just, you know, plainly not right, like, you know, third term. Yeah, I think you could do it. I'm having people look into it. No, you can't do it. And you can have people look into it from now until the end of time. It's like 12 words in the Constitution. You can't do it.
This also helps explain why Kamala Harris was often perceived as offering broad, non-specific answers instead of clear, detailed ones. Even when a question called for direct clarity, she frequently slipped into those now famous word salads: long, polished-sounding sentences that ultimately conveyed very little. Watching her interviews, it sometimes felt as though she wasn't fully responding to what was being asked. Instead, she appeared focused on steering back to the talking points she had prepared, even when they didn't quite fit the moment. That repeated reliance on scripted language created a sense of distance, almost as if she were waiting for the safer questions to resurface so she could return to her comfort zone. And when politicians prioritize sticking to the script over genuine engagement, it becomes noticeable. Harris' interviews became a clear example of how rigidly adhering to prepared lines can leave viewers feeling confused, unconvinced, and disconnected.
But he didn't get mad.
Right.
And then I also made the point that, you know, I went home that night and I was getting into bed in 60 Minutes. I taped it, and there he is on 60 Minutes, and he's like ranting and raving. I'm like, who's this guy? This is not the guy I met.
Yeah.
And so I'm just the reporter here. I'm just telling you.
This was my experience.
These aren't casual observers or neutral commentators. These are lifelong, committed Democrats who now find themselves acknowledging something positive about their most prominent political opponent, Donald Trump. And for some on the left, that alone is enough to spark frustration. For years, the expectation within many Democratic circles has been straightforward: maintain a unified front in the criticism of Trump, with little room for nuance or deviation. So when figures like Bill Maher and Cheryl Hines step outside that expectation and note that Trump has qualities or moments worth acknowledging, it unsettles some Democrats and left-leaning media voices. It disrupts a narrative that has been reinforced for years. The idea that a Democrat could express even mild appreciation for Trump can feel, to some, like a breach of loyalty. That's why this moment is so revealing. It highlights just how rigid and emotionally charged political expectations have become, and how unusual it is to see well-known Democrats break from the script.
Republicans have been very kind to me from the beginning. Even from the beginning when Bobby was running as a Democrat, they weren't mean.
No.
And they never have been.
No.
And I can't say that for the Democrats.
I agree.
And it's
sad because it's not the Democrats we grew up with.
Right, yeah.
And that's the difference that people don't, I think, see. They're like, why did you turn on the Democrats? Well, first of all, I didn't. Like I said, we voted for the same person. But I'm not going to pretend I don't notice how different they are.
Yeah.
How mean they've become.
For years, Republicans were often portrayed as the tougher, more uncompromising side of American politics. But now, Bill Maher and Cheryl Hines are challenging that idea based on their own experiences and observations. They suggest that the Democratic Party can be just as harsh, and sometimes even harsher, especially toward those who express views that stray from the accepted narrative. The moment someone steps outside the approved script, the response isn't always a debate. It can quickly turn into criticism, labeling, or even attempts to shut them down completely. The message can feel like, agree fully or face backlash. Maher and Hines pointing this out is significant because it puts words to something many people have sensed but hesitated to articulate. The Democratic Party isn't always the compassionate one in the room at times. It can be surprisingly ruthless.
Democrats have been having a lot of donor retreats lately where liberal strategists hold ideathons, where they try to figure out why they keep losing elections. You know, apart from using words like ideathon. And now one idea that's getting a lot of attention is the Dems need to find their Joe Rogan, a liberal Joe Rogan, because that's why Kamala lost. Republicans have a podcast.
That may be true, but Democrats don't just need their own version of Joe Rogan. Many argue they also need their own version of a Donald Trump-style figure, someone sincere, bluntly honest, willing to speak plainly, and unafraid to push back against the increasingly dominant woke wing of the party. Someone who can question the party leftward drift without hesitation. What Democrats seem to lack right now is a leader with real backbone, someone who can take criticism, acknowledge imperfections, and resist the pressure to conform to every new ideological demand. They need figures who aren't afraid of upsetting social media, who won't hide behind scripted talking points, and who inspire confidence simply by being authentic. Maher's broader point is clear. The party doesn't just need new voices. It needs strong, grounded personalities willing to challenge their own side when necessary. Only then can they rebuild credibility.
Or you could consider this. Instead of conjuring up a new Joe Rogan, ask yourself why you lost the old one. Because he used to be on your side. He smokes pot on the air. I don't think he's that much of a far-right ideologue. I don't think his mind is completely inflexible. His neck, yes. But not his mind. And he's expressed unease with some things Trump is doing, as has a certain disgruntled former employee named Elon Musk, who, like Joe, is another guy who 5 years ago was thought of as a liberal, but got driven into the other camp by bad attitudes and bad ideas.
This is the same kind of thinking that has pushed figures like Cheryl Hines and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to feel increasingly out of step with the modern liberal movement. Many Democrats say they've grown disconnected from the party not because of a single policy, but because the broader direction and ideology no longer resonate. Some feel the party has drifted away from practical problem-solving and toward a rigid form of ideological purity that leaves little room for questioning or nuance. Despite people voicing concerns or even stepping away, there often seems to be little appetite within the party to reflect, adjust, or course correct. That resistance, whether rooted in caution, stubbornness, or fear of losing control, has left longtime supporters frustrated and disillusioned. This unwillingness to evolve or acknowledge missteps is exactly what drives thoughtful, independent voices away, and it serves as a clear warning: if the party refuses to adapt, more allies will inevitably seek alternatives. And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.